Hey friends! So today we're going to take an interesting journey up the steeple here at St. John's. It's, actually I didn't calculate how tall it is. We'll have to figure that out as we go up. We get to see how it was constructed, and there's a very interesting thing at the top. We'll get to see the bell, and lots of dirt. Here we go. By the way, I'm wearing this mask, not because of COVID, but because it's so dirty up there that I keep coughing if I don't wear it. So I'm wearing the mask. So this is the first level. We went through the Chestnut Street entrance, up the spiral stair, and this would be the room that is the ceiling of the Chestnut Street entrance. That's the rope that the bell pullers pull. You can see that at this point, still all masonry construction. So this floor that I'm standing on is supported probably similar to these guys here, where it goes into the brick and that holds up the wood supports. But all this is masonry. But in this case, the masonry doesn't go up that much farther. Now, I want you to look at these ginormous beams. All right, double beams going east and west. And then sitting on top of them are double beams going north and south, which also park inside the masonry structure. All right, now that is the footing of the actual steeple, if you will. You can see at each corner the two vertical pieces that are coming down. They are not anchored into the masonry. They are only anchored into the wood structure. There are two at each corner, which means there are 8 of them altogether. And that essentially is what's holding the steeple up. My suspicion is that they're anchored only into the wood with these big iron lag bolts to allow for a little bit of movement so the steeple can actually rock a little bit in the wind. All right, I'm gonna climb this next ladder and then turn the video back on. Okay, so I've just come up these stairs. And here I am at the level of our bell. So this is the bell that we hear ring the Trinity every Sunday. And you can see around me is the framework, which is the still kind of the foundation of the tower, if you will. So each one of these supports goes through the floor, and then we saw how it bolted to the joist below, and you can see this very strong cross bracing pattern to keep the structure. But remember, there are these 8 supports. That's what's holding it up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 2 more behind me. Notice how this is a tendon construction. So this horizontal brace actually goes through the vertical member and then is held in place by that wooden peg. Oh, let's hear what the bell sounds like. So when the bell ringers ring it, they pull this string here, which activates a clapper, which you can see right there. But the bell can also be swung, which is what this wheel is for. Okay, let me pause, and I'm going to climb this ladder, which actually is probably the sketchiest part of this whole thing. This is a between level, if you will. You can see that there used to be what would have been a beautiful vaulted ceiling, or at least domed ceiling over the bell chamber, which was since just framed over and something flat was put there instead. Then right here is the next room we're going into. Okay, now we're in the first level of the steeple proper. That's probably the most impressive view. Very, very dirty up here. That is that ceiling we were just talking about over the bell chamber. You can see our corner supports still going up. Now at this level, we can see there's a connection. So this is the one that starts down below the bell, comes up. You can see another one of these tenon joints, and you can see a second piece of wood is gradually being spliced in at these steps. You can see the little steps notched out of the wood, and then it's bolted. So as near as I can tell, from the tip there where this piece ends, all the way down to below the bell chamber, that each one of those is about 23.5 feet long. All right, so from the a little bit under the floor of the bell chamber to here, it's about 23 feet. Again, it's kind of an impressive view. We're going to climb all the way up there. Oh, the last thing before we go up to that level, you can see the masonry stops here. Very tip top of the masonry. You also notice though that none of this is actually connected to the masonry. It just sits around it, almost like a hat sits on a head. All right, I'm going to climb this ladder here. By the way, little plug here for my battery operated DeWalt light. All right, from this height, we can look back down and see the ceiling of the bell chamber. If you look right in the center, you can see where the old supports end, the 23.5-foot ones. The new ones began, I don't know, 3 or 4 feet below that and then stepped up. And then they just keep going up. Going up and up and up. That platform right there is the last platform before the summit. You can see how much smaller the overall circumference is at this point. All right, now we're at this last platform. I actually had to bring this aluminum ladder up here. You can see our corner supports are getting very close together indeed. Actually, they end up meeting at the top. Now, I went through all of these corner supports, looked at them carefully. They are about 43 feet long. Each one of those is one single piece of wood that's about 40 feet long. I found some really neat stuff. You can see right here, FH. That's 1854. Hopefully you can make that out in the video. 1854. So I would assume that that right there is the initial. Those are the initials of one of the original craftsmen. You can see a JW. DR, that's October of 98. So I'm guessing that's 1898, given how old it looks. JJ. You have another one here. So there have been some people up here. It's been a while. EB. And then over here we have some more initials. MH. All right, so I'm gonna climb this ladder, see if we can actually get a view out these windows. You can see this view where they all come together. All the supports come together. A little bit hard to see maybe, but the hole that you're looking at either does or did at some point have the center piece that came out of the top of the steeple, which I think used to be a hand pointing up to heaven, which is now a cross. Ah, sure enough, that is the view of the parking lot, and you can just see the church roof. And that is the view west on Chestnut Street. You can see the east tower of the parish hall and auditorium, and just a little bit of the auditorium roof in the upper right corner there. And now looking east, that's the intersection of Chestnut and Mulberry, and that flat roof right there is the sacristy, and the slate to the left is the roof over the sanctuary, the high altar, and then you can see the chapel roof in the foreground. And then that is the view looking south. So we see our neighbors across the street. We can't see Chestnut Street, but it's right down there. And that right there is the very last view of the pinnacle of the steeple. This piece here is the center that I would assume goes up through the top and supports the cross up there. All right, well, I'm going to try to get back down, and then we'll take a look at this from the outside. On my way down, I couldn't resist showing you just one more thing. So this is an intersection where the horizontal and then the cross bracing all intersects. Each one of these pieces of wood is carved out to neatly fit into each other. It's a brilliant way of, and you can see the this one has nails to hold it together. It's a brilliant way of making something strong and almost impossible to come apart. Of course, today we would this would all probably be aluminum or steel, but it stood a long time. Okay, here we are back at the stairs. Let's go out to Chestnut Street. Oh, by the way, I love this ceiling. It's gorgeous. That's what the ceiling above the bell would have looked like, something like that. There we are. You can see those windows, the windows with the leaded glass. That's the first room. And the ceiling of that is kind of where the foundation starts of the actual tower. And then that's the bell level, the louvers. And then we looked out of those windows way up there under the cross. And there's one last view. Now you could say that during COVID-19, you climbed the steeple of St. John's Church.